So we are marketeers here and we all love sales. That's what we do for a living. But engagement isn't networking. Networking is all about seeing how you pull the next person up. Networking is about going to something with no expectation. Networking is about making new friends. When we first went into the playground when we were kids, we didn't go in going, well, what would I like to get out of this today? We were just there.
Give us an example of that online though, Shan.
Hi, my name is Judie Russell and I'm a video trainer and producer with the Vid Academy.
Hi, my name is Sian Horn and I am a business and marketing mentor. I teach businesses what they need to know to stay in business. Also the founder of the Club Women's Network and Elite Pilates and bbell.com.
Hi, my name is Jen and I'm the founder of a paid advertising agency called Lemon 7 based here in Cork.
Hey, I'm Jay Woodard and I am the creative director at Ad32, a content production house that produces content for SMEs and corporates.
Today's episode is brought to you by sianhorn.com, your go-to resource for business mentorship, empowering entrepreneurs to achieve their goals and expert guidance and support. Contact me at hello@sianhorn.com.
Welcome to episode 40 and hi everybody. I'm so delighted to be back. 2 weeks was too long and I feel like I've got a lot to catch up on. How is everybody?
Super.
Super good. Okay, don't sound too enthusiastic. Yeah, I'm grand.
It's that time, isn't it? Everyone's off. Everyone's not getting back to emails, so you're kind of in limbo. And projects are on hold, and it's all good though.
I know, and it really is a limbo time. And actually, I've seen that from obviously being off for 2 weeks. Thought I was struggling. Honestly, now the first week I didn't enjoy it at all. I felt really under pressure because I'd normally do an hour or so on holiday in the morning, and that's easy enough. But the second week I just went, do you know what? There's nothing can be done about it. Just relax. And I had a lovely holiday, came back really refreshed, and then got back and went, oh my God, my inbox isn't so heavy as I thought it would be because everybody else is on holiday. And they really are this year. Everybody is away.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't marked it on your calendars, I take August off next year. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I think late July, early August, I'm going to take off next year.
Yeah, I think there's 3 weeks of August, for the amount of, I've done a lot of prep work, I suppose, ready for September, October, November. But yeah, very quiet out there. But I would definitely take it off next year if I could. The problem with that time is kids are off school.
I think this year is the first year though that has felt pre-COVID, or it's the first time where back to office is a little bit more there. People are really not doing the last couple of years. I found a lot of people would have been working remotely, take the laptop with them on holidays. I'll just keep working. Whereas this year it seems different. People are actually taking their downtime this year. I feel like it's the first year back to that.
It's funny because I heard you say that on last week's episode, and I was like, because pre-COVID, actually, I didn't think anybody was taking a holiday. I never felt holidays pre-COVID. It's only since COVID that I felt that people have learned that lesson to take time off. Because I never felt that slump in July, August before COVID came.
Oh, I definitely did, but I was working in training for a long time at that time period. So that's always a slump.
Yeah.
Sure, we're going back into another lockdown now, aren't we, soon, with the Mpox thing?
Yeah.
With monkeypox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's not even talk about it.
Podcast, guys. Nice uplifting.
Oh my God. And actually today I was like, do you know what? I was going to come back in. We're going to talk about a subject. And then I was listening to the pods. And as I was listening to the pods, I was like writing notes. And I was like, actually, I want to just go over the last couple of weeks because there were certain things that you spoke about. And I was like, oh, I'd love an input to that a little bit. And if we look at episode 38, the first thing you were talking about was obviously remote working. And I was like, I actually have a couple of friends that have the remote working off to a T. And that for me is living somewhere like Spain or France, where the economy, the cost of living is much lower, but all your clients being in Ireland or the UK or America. And a couple of my friends do that, and their way of life is very, very different to ours.
How so?
In what way?
Because they have so much more accessible income. Their cost of living. I mean, I've just come back from France, and I can tell you now, I couldn't get over how cheap it was to go shopping for food. We were staying in a caravan, we were self-catering, and I cooked in every night. And I couldn't get over how cheap food was. So their cost of living, that's like, for me, that's the ideal, is if you can earn your living in a country that is a little bit more expensive, but live in a country that isn't, you're absolutely laughing.
And do they work less, Shan? Like, do they have a better quality of life, or are they working more and saving more? Kind of how are they doing it, you think?
I think they work more or less the same. Anybody that's working remotely, you know yourself, Jude, you know, you tend to do your own hours a little bit more when you're working remote. You know, if you do have to pop out, you can make that hour back up. So yes, quite often I might see my friend at poolside at 3 p.m. But then I might chat to her at 7:30 in the evening, and she's on the laptop because the weather is cooler in the evenings. It's better for her to work. But I just think it's a fantastic way to live.
Oh yeah, big time.
But and I think that thing last week I was sharing, you know, in the heat and stuff, most of my friends would work in the evenings when it's cooler.
Yeah. You get so tired when you're working when it's warm.
Yeah. But can you imagine like having that though, that time during the day to take in that vitamin D and know that, you know, you're going to put your head down at 6 p.m., you're done at 9 and you finished your day.
It kind of becomes a 4-hour working week in the scenario of a 4-day working week where people put all their effort into certain time periods and get it done. Do you know what I mean? It's like they get it done so they can have that time. They're like, they know there's a beach bar party tonight that they want to get to, and they get their work done.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's interesting because I was chatting to Evelyn after that episode, and she was telling me that the nurses that work with her, so there's 3 vets and 3 nurses that do the night shifts, and she does one rotation and then the 2 others do the other rotation. So she's on every 3 weeks, all nights for, I think it's like 8 days, 13 hours in a row. So it's like, it's the equivalent of full time, but it's blocked. But the 2 of the nurses that work with them fly in from Portugal for the 1 week of work and fly back out for the other 2 weeks, because they just come in to work nights for the 1 week and then they turn around and fly back out, which I just thought, I was like, that's ideal as well.
And obviously can afford to do that because obviously, again, their cost of living, their rent, and their overheads in Portugal are much lower than we have here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's the holy grail for me, is if you can do it, there's no point in working more if you're in a country where you want to utilize that time and that space and getting out there. The second thing you chatted about, actually, that I wanted to just tinily hit on in from episode 38 is when we were talking about remote, we were talking about pets. And I'd just like to say, as a landlord, you can fuck off if your dog's coming in my house. Because it is not happening.
Fred, cover your ears. You are the best boy.
Yeah. I love dogs, by the way, and I really do. But having had a tenant once that I said, yeah, that's okay, who ended up running a dog sitting service from my facility, I that was it for me. Never again. And also cats as well, because cats just pee everywhere and then your house stinks. And whether you like it or not, you've got to buy a new carpet. So as a landlord, for me, pets are out. As someone that rents somewhere, I'd love to have a dog. But it just ain't going to ever happen. But yeah, no, I was like listening to it going, God, no, guys, this would be an absolute nightmare. I wanted to ask Jen though, like, because you mentioned that episode about that lovely gentleman that you dealt with, and I just wondered, was there any other outcome from that from 2 weeks ago?
No, I've blocked him everywhere.
Oh no! Okay, I was hoping we'd get like episode 2.
No. I mean, I'm so tired. I got tired of his shitty messages, and I don't mind, but like, I'm a forensic detective at heart.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I can't remember what I said on the episode now again, but like, some of the stuff is just so stupid. Like, his 20-year-old workman must have broken into his computer on his in his office to scroll on Instagram. No, they didn't. Like, and then it's so funny. Like,
LinkedIn says, I do all the marketing for the company.
Yeah, I know, it's brilliant. But then it's funny because he has a very unusual way of spelling and his grammar is incorrect. But his grammar is, despite it being incorrect, it's consistent. So it's consistent with the original message as well. So I was like, you're an idiot. So
I'm a bit worried now because like he could be me.
It was you all along.
Because my grammar is consistently incorrect.
Yeah, I actually don't. It's one of those things when grammar is off, it only ever grinds on my nerves if someone is inconsistently wrong, as opposed to consistently wrong. Because when they're consistently wrong, it's still logical. They've made logical sense of it. I could go down, I won't go down that rabbit hole because
I have to really slow down when I email people, because if I do read back, there's always letters, etc., back to front. And Grammarly and ChatGPT are my best friends without a doubt. Grammarly is the best thing that ever went onto my laptop ever. With that in mind, and that story that you were telling, and we were talking about, retaliation, and then after retaliation, you blocked him. Like, what do we all think about how to deal with these people? Should we just not get into a conversation with them? Should we just block them straight away? Should we let them know what we're on about? Jay, what do you think?
It all depends. Like, I'm very much the kind of mentality of, fuck it, come on, what's the point of wasting time here? If it's vicious enough or if it's damaging enough that the action they took, I think name and shame and report and like as Jen did, put up in the reviews and this kind of stuff, I think that's very, very viable. I think it's a good option. But if it's just someone being a tit, I think just say, yeah, best of luck, bud. Just I'm massively not in the space of not giving something energy. If it's negative, I just don't want to be bothered. But I think if something warrants the attention, give it everything and fucking roast them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like the way that Jen dealt with it, and I was waiting for episode 2, but never mind. Well done for blocking. What would you do, Jude?
I think from working with the politicians, they were like, never like delete or hide a comment that, is an opinion that has valid kind of meaning behind it. But if it's a personal attack or any kind of threat, then just block that person. So I think that's where I am. But like, would I start responding to someone? Like, I don't know. I get too, like, my heart would start racing and I'd be like, oh my God, here's what I'm going to say. Then I type it out, then I delete it. And then I'm like, never have I been glad that I didn't delete it in the end, even though everything was telling me to respond with this super sassy comeback and your class. And then every time I do, I'm just like, but I haven't had to do it in ages. So it's a long time out of that kind of thing. So yeah, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Do you know what? The only reason I did it, and I don't like in my day to day when I find these comments, I just delete them and I just forget. Sometimes I don't even block them. I'm like, they probably will never find me again. The only reason why this was different was it was a company account.
Yeah.
It was a company that had commented. It was obviously an individual behind it, but two things. One is that the company themselves, if it wasn't the CEO, which I'm sorry, totally was. Now, I've never actually named the company publicly either, but they should have been made aware. Even if someone had been on their team kind of scrolling away, they should have been made aware of it. But I think that's what irked me more than anything was the fact that it was like a company more so than a person.
But I can see you being more level-headed, Jen, and just sitting there and being like, oh, that's insulting. Company page, let's reply. Whereas I get really like emotional about it. And I'm just like, okay, there's no point in me reacting because it's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
I mean, and I actually got an email from an exceptionally well-known worldwide beauty product this week, which was it was a very strange email anyway. They were asking for some information from me to work together, etc., but something just wasn't sitting well. So I started investigating who it was from, couldn't find her on LinkedIn, couldn't find her email, etc. Did a bit of a Jen, so in the end I found somebody else and I emailed them and I said, does this person work for you, etc., etc., and they didn't, and they've been aware of a spam that's been going around. But I was like, why have they just emailed me? All they want is a reply email, or they starting to build a relationship and then they're going to try and hack me or accept. Do you know what I mean? Like, it obviously was the beginning of something that could have escalated much more seriously. And I know we've spoken about this before, having been hacked myself, it's just too painful. And even now, actually, a really lovely company texted me the other day and said, "Oh, Sean, we would love to send you some information. Click on this link." And I know them, and I just emailed back and said, "Look, I don't click on anyone's link anymore." I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you send links out to people? I'm just so...
There's a site, and I'll send you the link to it because I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But you can drop your link in there.
Yeah.
Before you open it, like, you can copy and paste the link in, and it scans it for viruses, and it scans it for things like if it creates an auto download in the background, if it has a pop up, if it like clearly displays the URL for you and things. One of the most common spam issues that people have and never spot it is, the letter A. So most people write the letter A like that, just up to the camera there. It looks kind of
like an A. So a circle with a tail, as we used to say at school.
Yeah. But then you can also write an A like that with the squiggle, where it looks a bit more like an S almost, where it has the like curved piece at the top. You typically see it in font in written books. So let's say, for example, actually I think Unpost had this issue, if I recall correctly, where the spoofing of it was the alternative shape of the letter A, as opposed to, so it still looked like it was coming from Unpost or whatever the company name was, but the actual shape of the letter changed the domain, which is super interesting. So actually, you have to look for the smallest details, but the link flags all of those little things. It's like, it's using the squiggly A, it's using an E with an umlaut, or it's doing something small that's bizarre. Stay away from it. But I must poke it out, and I'll put it in the show notes afterwards as well.
Do you know, I think that scammers teamed up at the really good time of like the law of attraction and the secret becoming really popular, because I think when someone like a person I know received an email recently that they won a car, and I think that they've been manifesting a new car for quite some time, and then it was so hard for them to like believe that it wasn't true, because like they were like, no, it's lining up with all of the work I've been doing to manifest this new car. And I remember looking at the email and I was like, it's 100% spam. And like they're like, should I not just click on it anyway? And I'm like, no,
the email address gives it away.
No. There's a YouTube channel, and I can't think of the name of it now again either, but myself and my mom love to sit down. So if we just want to watch a small bit of trash, this is what me and my mom sit down to watch together. And it's these guys who investigate, like, oh, I'm in love with this prince, and he's based in Nigeria, and we're in love, and we've been talking for like 6 years now. Unfortunately, he's been like in so much trouble with his family. We haven't been able to meet, like the whole story. And it's the same story on repeat, and you'd have to feel really sorry for people sometimes as well. But that is it also makes for good trash TV, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best Dr. Phil episodes, Jen. Some of the best.
Yeah.
I went to see Dr. Phil. It was amazing. I was in LA and I was in LA and I was like, I'm going to go and try and see everything. So in the same week, I went to see Ellen and Dr. Phil, and they were totally different experiences. Like Ellen was like Universal Studios. You meet up in this one place, you're walked through, everything's like really slick and stylish. I remember Dr. Phil was like in the back of like a industrial estate, and it was like just like a big curtain that you walked through and a few seats, and it was so weird. I was just hoping to win something, but it was all about like the aftermath of a hurricane, and it was really sad. I was like, where's the free prizes? No?
Oh, bless
Where's
you.
Oprah when you need her?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But actually, with that in mind, what I was saying was, Judie, with your friend and what you were saying, so I did wonder if that gentleman that's given you his time for free that you were chatting about last week has come back with anything yet.
I genuinely think that person is genuine. I really do. But like, again, we'll see. But no, I just think that they were like, it basically, his thing was like, you give so much away on LinkedIn, and I've learned so much from you that I want to give you something back. And so
that
no,
makes sense.
he sent me a document with like things that I could do and stuff like that. And then that was it. I haven't heard from him since. So I love Jay's face. If nobody's watching this on YouTube, Jay is like skepticism personified right now.
It is what it is. Like, like if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, doesn't.
Yeah. I would ring you. I didn't understand it in that premise actually last week. I would ring you exactly the same actually. If you'd given so much to me, then I would give you something back. So he could be just a good guy.
I think so. I hope
Or
so.
he can
I'm
be
still
trying to
really
get laid.
naive. What'd you say, Jay?
He could be trying to get laid.
That didn't even come into the possibilities of what's going on.
Through LinkedIn.
You've given me so much. I want to give you something back.
Oh God, this is just going in the wrong direction. One thing I wanted to mention about last week's episode, Jay, you were talking about getting back to people, etc. And I know you're on shoots a lot of the time. We were talking about out of offices before I went away, and you just touched on it last week. Do you have an out of office on all the time, Jay, if you're working on set?
No, I should have more, to be honest. I do have that header at the bottom, or the tail at the bottom of my emails. I could be on a shoot, or I could be in a work session, and I will get back to you when I can. But I work at irregular times, whatever it says. But
that's if you send to someone, though, isn't it?
Yes, if they see my email correct, yeah. You're right, I should. And there's times I'm on set, I'm like, fuck it, I should have had an out of office. Where like, yesterday I had, Monday, Tuesday I was away in shoots and working, and I was sporadically emailing back, and I got a good few emails in, but I should have had an out of office. I'll get back to you. I'm on shoots, this kind of stuff. So
just when you said it, when you said it last week, I actually work with a couple of people that have their out of office on permanently, because they're always on the road. So whenever I email them, I know I'm going to get this out of office. It's only a 3-liner, but it just says, I work on the road, etc. I will get back to you within 48 to 72 hours at the latest. And it automatically comes through any time I email them. And then I always know that's going to come. But it might be something if you're trying to, manage expectations, it might be something to set up.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely going to do it.
And the other thing was, Judie, if you're taking retainers off people, take it at the beginning of the month, not at the end of the month.
Good advice.
100%. I just got my clients, yeah.
So I know we've kind of recapped on the last 2 weeks, and there was other stuff.
Sorry, could we go back a second? What do you mean by the first of the month instead of the end? Like start the retainer at the first as opposed to build them at the first?
Yes, so I build them before the work starts. So you will pay me.
You're talking about a month ahead as opposed to a month prior.
I invoice my clients.
Oh, yeah, I get you. Yeah,
no, Judie just mentioned that she doesn't have anybody that she bills at the end of every month. And I was like, no, beginning of the month. Just for anybody that's listening, that's how retainers work. That's why it's called a retainer, because you're retaining the services of that person. But yeah, and so Judie, your lovely August is coming to an end.
Oh, I just really, really love August. Like the amount of montage videos I've made of fun weekends is just insane. And Taylor Swift's August song is like the background to most of them. And I'm just having so much fun with friends and children and stuff like that. But I'm still getting work done. And like, I'm just like, okay, I just love this pace. I'm still editing. I'm still keeping the jobs. Like I've got lots kind of going on. But like, it just doesn't feel as heavy. And I honestly think it's because I'm not getting random emails that don't need to be sent in the first place. Like, like cool off on the comms, people. This stuff still gets done. Maybe it's not that, but like, I definitely feel less weight at the moment, even though I feel like I'm as productive as I would be in November, which would be a really busy month for me. But maybe I'm just lying to myself. I don't know.
I don't think you are lying to yourself. I just wondered if you're learning anything from it. Like, are you going to make any changes in this last, 4 months of the year that would make you be just as happy in September, October, November?
Remember I said I didn't want to film events anymore. I'm filming 3 events over the next 3 months. They had gotten onto me and they were like, can you do this? And then they never got back. And I was like, okay, sweet, I'm out of it. And then they were like, hey, just catching up about those events that we've scheduled in. And I was like, I don't think we scheduled them in, but I'm like, yeah, might as well do them. And I'm going to Croatia at the end of September. So I do need the money. So I'm like, okay, we'll just have to suck it up. And maybe I don't hate events. Maybe I shouldn't cross it out. Maybe, you know what? Mobile phones do lean very well into events. I set up 3 cameras. They're all running. 2 are stationary. 1's mobile. You get so much footage that I wouldn't be able to get if I was rocking professional cameras, syncing sound with the audio desk. Like it does lend itself well to that, what kind of I do. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go back. I'll come back to you when I'm doing them and let you know if I'm extremely frustrated.
But one thing you mentioned was, if I did events, I'd love it to be done in this way. So you would dictate how the event is done. So did you do that?
the call is actually after this one. So thank you for reminding me, because sometimes I say things, totally forget, and don't include them. Then I'm like, sugar, I should have said that. But you're right. That's how I should start the call. Like this edit ends within 24 hours. I'm not taking this event into the week after. Like it's up.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares if there's a weird
right.
transition. It's a summary of an event kind of thing, you know? So
Yes.
like for my style anyway, and I know it's different. Like Jay, you were talking about, like, you know, the ones that you deliver a little bit later and they're really polished, but then they're used for promoting the following year's event and stuff like that. There's different goals. And I suppose, I just need to, say, this is what I'm really good at with my gear. If you want something else, then you're better off going to Jay. Do you know, that kind of way?
No, absolutely. But I think that's right. When I was listening to you saying that, and I was like, well, why don't you just package it like that? And then they can choose if they want it or not. And then you're only doing what you want to do.
You're right. It's clarity around your offerings, really, isn't it? Because like sometimes you just let the client dictate, which is fine, because sometimes they know really well what they want, but then you have to say, no, actually you'd be better off with someone else. And I love passing on business. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially if I know that someone else is better to do that. Then I'm like, great. And then everyone's happy, you know.
Well, if they need an MC, babes, just give us a ring. I love a good event. And talking of referrals, obviously the whole conversation today was supposed to be, and we'll just touch on it. Obviously referrals is a big part of networking. And networking is obviously something that I enjoy doing. And obviously running a network, it's kind of obvious why I love doing it. But I've been doing it for a very long time. And I think people think that networking in person is different to networking online. And actually there's loads of things that are very similar, because it's all about relationship building. So when it comes to networking online through your platforms, so through YouTube, Link, whatever platforms it is you use, how do you find it, Jay? Is it something that you find that you're good at? You want to be better at it? How do you work it?
I think I'm okay at it. I could be better. My mentality is, if it stops my thumb, I'll interact. If your content has stopped my thumb from scrolling, you're getting a comment, or you're getting a like, or you're getting a, that was class, well done, man. And a lot of conversations have happened for me where I've commented like that. They're like, cheers, man, appreciate the feedback, or whatever it is. And then they DM me, or I DM them after saying, hey, how did you do that camera angle, or this kind of stuff. And then kind of we end up talking that way. And it's cool because then you have these people's ear. If like, there's one YouTuber I love, Tyler Stallman. And before I bought my camera, the Sony A7 III at the time, I was like, geez, I'm stuck now. I don't know what to buy. But I had commented on a few videos of his, and he always responded. So I DM'd him, and like, this guy is nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube, like thousands and thousands of followers, like all this kind of stuff. And he got back to me within half an hour, paragraphs. Hey man, hope you're all keeping great. Yeah, I'd recommend this. I'd keep that. Like, that's class. That, to have that vital information at your hand, that he was so good to just give it to me, because I think he'd seen in his previous DMs that I commented and stuff, and we'd had a small interactions previously. Like, to me, when I comment on a celebrity or someone I like or following, and they respond with a love heart or something, I'm like, yes, I have their ear now, because any text I send them, they're getting a notification, where it doesn't go straight to the what is the requested folder or whatever it is. So I think with that kind of stuff, it's important to just be commenting, responding to stories. Because if they see it and they like it, then you have their ear. If you need them, you can ask them with voice or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And Judie, how do you get on with it?
I love what you said about if your thumb stops. I think that's such a great, way of kind of rationalizing whether you interact with a comment or not. I definitely think I could be more conversational on LinkedIn. I kind of just post stuff and then reply, thanks a million, Shan. Thanks a million, Jay. And I'm like, this is so void of any personality. But like, I'd like to know more. I'd like to more. And I don't want to come off as unauthentic as well, because I think a lot of people are now using ChatGPT on LinkedIn to get that top voice badge. And the reason I'm noticing that so much is because of the Z's in emphasize and stuff like that. I'm like, this is definitely ChatGPT.
See, I would spell it with a Z.
But not twice. Oh no, twice you would.
Oh yeah, I would forever. If it sounds like emphasize with a Z, it's spelled emphasize with a Z. I was taught to spell in Wales, so I'm absolutely up the creaker.
Yeah, but I want to sound normal, but I don't know if I have a good way of like translating what I want to say into text. I think I always come across like a formal, like professor wannabe. like as opposed to myself. It starts off with like, congratulations on your incredible engagement. I'm not going to say that to you normally. I'm like, well done, Shan, slay. But like, I don't know if I can come across that way on LinkedIn, you know?
So are you saying that when you see something then that you like to read, you don't know how to comment?
Yeah, I can't get the words together.
So would you not just comment as you? Why do you feel you need to make it formal?
I don't know. I can't seem to get my voice out in text as well as I can to person, you know, or on video.
Predict to the not predict,
transcribe
every time. I dictate to the phone. That's what I do.
Okay.
If like last night I was trying to spell something, I can't remember what it was, and I was like, I just pressed the button, said the word, and then unpressed the button. And then like if you're just talking, hey bud, comma, I'll be over at 6. I'll see you then! Exclamation point. And then that's all I say, and then it just ends. And that's literally it's my voice. Do you know? It's not. It's not any text. It's not any tone.
I think recently I saw. Sorry, I'm chatting a lot, but I saw this lady post about getting kind of screwed over by a journalist. So the journalist was writing an article about her, but like kind of presented it. The headline was presented in a way that was like very almost sexist and something else. And I was like, I wrote this big long reply about like, yeah, I remember a time that, you know, the journalists, I felt set up by a journalist who was writing about our business, but then featured a competitor of ours and made it look like all of the stories were about our competitor. And I was like, and then as I was just about to press send, I was like, no, I was like, it's giving away too much information. And I felt really strongly about it and I really wanted to write it. But then I was like, I don't know who's reading that. I sound like I'm giving out. I sound like this. I sound like that. And I just talked myself out of it.
Rookie.
Did you say rookie?
Rookie.
Rookie.
Jen,
what did you say? Did you say Wookie?
No, rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking two things from the first two conversations. What do you think, Jen, about sort of using that networking piece? I know you have a lot of stuff coming into you, which is automated, but how do you network, or is it something that you feel that's important for you, etc.?
It's funny. A lot of people don't realize that it's automated, which is interesting. People reply to me as if it's not a machine that sent the first message. Yeah, it's interesting obviously I post a lot of content. I try to take all of the conversations private in the call to actions. So everything ends up in a conversation in the DMs, or they end up going through different flows that are more relevant in different scenarios, like pushing them through. I've started using a service called Tally for my proposal flow. It's working really well to get request proposals in. Worth it. Even just be nosy, put in a fake one on my website if the three of you want to, or anyone else listening for that matter. Just write the word ignore in big capital letters next to it or something, so I don't get excited that I'm getting new business. And then just don't book on the Calendly at the end. But that flow for me at the moment is working.
How does that work, Jen? Sorry.
Yeah.
So someone comes up to you on your website and says, I'd like to work with you, and they kind of just work through a list of questions, or what's the crack?
Do you know what? I thought about this a lot when I put the new site together, and I actually have this guy, Fabian Gerhalter. He is unbelievable at brand work, doing the new brand for me at the moment. He sent back the logos and stuff, and I told him to go wacky. He took that and went wackier, so I'm excited to get that out there. But one thing that I really wanted to do with the new site was have one call to actions. Agencies love doing things like contact us over here, and this is where we're located. Go over here, download our case studies, download our ebook, do all of these different things. It's not just an agency problem. Everyone has that problem. You go to the website, the only thing that you can really do is request a proposal. And when you click on it, it brings you through a flow that's very simple. It says, hi, what's your name? You put in Jay. Then on the next page, it'll pick up that information and pull it through. So it'll be like, hey Jay, are you looking for social media ads, or are you looking for ads? Do you have an agency already in the mix? These questions tell me things like, if you have an agency already in the mix, your tracking and everything is probably already set up. That's a job done for me, and they're just not happy with them. It's a very conversational flow that gives me enough information to have a good sales call. I'm finding it's working quite well for me.
Yes, I'll check that out.
But anyway, and it's free, which is great. So the flow is
free.
Good.
Come here. By the way, Jen, I wouldn't be able to do a meeting anymore without Superhuman. I can't believe it's free. I can't believe it summarizes your meeting notes and sends them to you afterwards. Like, I know I've spoken about it on here loads of times, but like, I signed up for something else. What was it? Oh yeah, Superhuman is the emails.
Superhuman for emails and super normal for notes.
I didn't like super normal for emails. Superhuman for emails. Sorry.
You have to, with Superhuman for emails, I set aside an hour and did their training end to end.
Okay.
I hated it before, obsessed with it afterwards. So it is a learning curve with Superhuman for sure. But to go back to the networking piece, it's just interesting what you said, Judie, because it's so top of mind for me at the moment on the vulnerable piece. So I'm at the moment, I think that every channel you can't post what you post on Instagram, on TikTok. You can't use that same content for YouTube Reels. You can't chop up your long form content for short form content anymore. It just doesn't perform. It's a tick the box task, not a growth task. So I've actually hired Aoife to do an additional bulk of work with me monthly. So she does my block of 30 Instagram videos every month. She's now going to be doing a block of 20 landscape 2-minute LinkedIn videos a month for me starting in September, which is going to be super interesting. And then the third launch that I have in September is the new newsletter, which is treating Lemon 7 as like a completely open book, as if I was sending an email to investors at the end of the month. So
Class.
I'm trying to override that feeling that you have with that, Judie, and just be like, women hate talking about money. People hate talking about money. We don't talk about the ins and outs of our business. And I want it so that like, I can answer the voices in my head. What if someone comes up to you in the street and it's like, oh, I know what you made last month? It's like, okay, that's fine. Some people make more, some people make less. Some people will think that my company is crazy good. Other people are going to be like, it's pleb,
Link that to networking for me.
So the story piece of that, like, this is where I'm at this month. These are all the metrics. This is everything. The fully transparent piece end to end for me is overriding one thing in my brain where it's like, right, so I'm getting this story out there. But the second piece to that is building trust with people in the same breath. I mean, that level of honesty is almost unheard of from an agency perspective. So I'm using it as a trust exercise to build better relationship with my newsletter subscribers. But the first one isn't out yet. I couldn't tell you what kind of response or what kind of conversations are coming from that until maybe middle of September.
The door for a lot of people there to contact you as well in a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
Come here, congrats. May looked amazing, fair play. Or come here, I know a person who can help with that issue you're having. If you're
exactly.
So what does, Jay, if I say the word networking, what does it mean to you?
Connecting people.
Judie?
Just thinking of like a net working. How do you make a net I'm really literal. So I'm always like, network fishing, like, but I suppose, I don't know, like, I have been at events where I felt lost. And I like, me, if I know someone, I'm so comfortable. If I don't know people, I'm like, I feel like I'm 9 again, being rejected from playing triangles in the schoolyard. I'm like, oh my God, like
I'll give a perfect example.
Video.
I'll give a perfect example of that. Little video.
Go on. Little video.
I didn't know you.
But Judie, then, if you feel like that, what do you do to get over that?
Don't go.
So how could it become easier for you?
I think, oh God.
It's the opposite of don't go, Judie. Because things only become easier the more you do them. It's fact.
I feel exhausted after them a lot of the time, Shan. And I know you're probably like, oh my God, stop it. But like, I feel like wrecked. And I'm like,
but you will if you feel like that now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the only reason I would go to a session is because I leave motivated and full of information. However, I'm not looking for anything when I arrive. If I said to you then, Jen, what does networking mean to you?
It's a relationship building exercise, but I guess the way I like to build relationships is different, because if I left an event despite not having an agenda going in, I would be under the bed exhausted, just like, why did I do that?
But that's where the
but it's a
magic
difference.
happens. And what I'm going to say to you is the three things that all of you said came back to one thing. So, Jay, you talked about engaging. You didn't talk about networking. You talked about engagement. You talked about seeing something that you like, stopping your thumb and giving someone kudos. Yeah, which does over time, long time. But that initial thing that you've done is really just engagement. You're engaging with someone. That's not networking. It could evolve into networking, but that first piece that you've done is just engagement. You spoke about there's someone that I follow that's amazing and he's really high up. So that's, again, it's like that, the halo effect up, which we've spoken about before. You know, we all want to work with these people and it's great. And then, you know, Judie, you spoke about, you know, people that you're reading, they are the expert, the professor, and that's where you feel uncomfortable. You don't feel like you're there. So again, you're constantly looking upwards. To send people a newsletter and give them information about yourself is opening up you to them, but there's no reverse to start with. So again, for me, that's sales and marketing. So we are marketeers here and we all love sales. You know, that's what we do for a living. But engagement isn't networking. Networking is all about seeing how you pull the next person up. Networking is about going to something with no expectation. Networking is about making new friends. When we first went into the playground, when we were kids, we didn't go in going, well, what would I like to get out of this today? We were
Give us an
just
example
there.
of that online, though, Shan.
Say that again?
Give us an example of that online.
Yeah, absolutely the same. So I would never DM somebody and just say, oh, that's because if I'm going to network with someone, normally I have an understanding of what's going on with them. So that's what I'm saying to you. So it always starts with engagement. That's fantastic, or this, but then it's about, if someone texts me and just kept saying, oh, that's really great, they don't really have an interest in me. So if I'm ever engaging with somebody, I get texts all the time, Sean, would you mind just contacting that person? I know you know them. And I'm like, well, I don't actually know them, but we have an online relationship because I know her story. I know his story, what he was doing. He's just come back from holiday. I've taken an interest in them. So I think what I'm saying is engagement is the right place to start, but networking is so much more than that. Like a girl the other week put up, I need new headphones. It's actually similar. You wanted a camera. And I texted and said, oh my God, Fiona, I don't know from Adam. I'd love to see what people come back with on this. This is really interesting. She came back to me yesterday and said, oh my God, Sean, everybody came back with absolute rubbish. I've got nothing to tell you. And I said, do you know, it's so funny. Since then, I've actually had the great conversation with this girl. This is her. Let me link you up and introduce you to her. She's full of information. And she's like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Now we are networking. Initially, we just engaged with each other. Networking is so much more.
Isn't that, I don't know if I'm missing something, but isn't that kind of what each of us described in a slightly different way, where, like, for example, with the newsletter, for example, it's opening the door for the conversation and knowing that the conversation will come afterwards. So the act of writing the newsletter itself is a door opener towards the networking. And same with Jay with the engagement, where, you know, he's starting the conversation.
That's what I'm saying, but it's engagement, because actually writing my newsletter. So I send out a monthly newsletter. It's about you and your business. So you're opening the door for people to get to know you, but you don't know. Friendship works two ways. It has to come from both sides. Yeah. So you're engaging with that newsletter. We are engaging with commenting. Relationships build from that, but it's the beginning without a doubt, but don't think that that's networking.
Oh, I wouldn't think it's networking, no, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder where it crosses over.
Yeah, it crosses over when you send a newsletter and you say, you know, this is what's happened this month. What's happened to you? Give me some feedback and let's talk. Do you know what I mean? And then conversations start, and then you get to know people, both sides. But it is about, it's about more than just advertising your wares. You know, I always say this, you know, we have a rule in the club, participation over pitch, and we don't allow people to talk about their businesses in a meetup. They're only allowed to talk about other people's, which is really different. But
there's a social network built around that. I think it's inside.com, if I'm not mistaken, where it acts like a LinkedIn, but you're not allowed to talk about your own business. You're only allowed to talk about other businesses or provide helpful content for other businesses. It's an interesting model, but I joined it and had a look at it for like 2 days, and then I was like, no one's active here. And then when people were, it was still kind of like, it was just the kudos club.
Yeah. And that's because people are too busy talking about themselves, Jen, to be honest.
No, as in like people were active on it, but it was always the same people. It was like the kudos club is the wrong way to talk about. It was the Lickass club. Where, you know, it was just like, because you couldn't post about yourself, you couldn't post about your own, you have to post good things about other people, but that inevitably lends itself to lickarsery, where people are just like, oh, you know, goddess A over here is wonderful again. It was like the bigger players in marketing or any ecosystem were getting all the kind of the bubble of the content, if that makes sense.
That's my LinkedIn at the moment.
So it would depend. Yeah. LinkedIn is getting crazy with AI. Like, it is insanity.
Yeah.
They need someone good to facilitate that. I'll have to go and have a look at that. But I just think that, you know, that's what worries me. That's why people are scared of it, Jude, because they feel that they're going to go there and be sucked dry. That's why people are I mean, I go to a lot of training events for networking as well, and they always say, make sure you've got everybody that's going to be there. Who do you want to meet? What can you get out of it? Like, if life really is that, then I don't want to be in life.
Do you not find though, like, that 90% of networking events are just full of people who are looking for something?
Depends what network events you go to.
Yeah, but I think the majority I've been to, and I've been to several, I used to host them. As the girl said, you come away wrecked because people are falling into that bubble of they just want to talk about themselves. And the fact of the matter, Shan, is you're way more experienced than the majority of people in this, and you have this notion, you know what the true essence of networking is, where I would say the majority of people don't know what that is, and they feel it's a chance to go, look at me, I'm this is me, help me, I need help here, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then that majority experience impacts the full experience of going to it then, which is the bigger problem, I guess. I think that's actually the interesting crux of the pain point of networking, isn't it? Where it's one of two things. One is either nervousness or anxiety, which is kind of an individual problem. And then the second problem is like, okay, if you get over that hurdle, the next pain point of continued networking is being sold to, the draining of it, which is I'm talking out loud because I've never actually worked through what is the pain point.
No, absolutely. And for me, you know, like, I'll take you back to the playground. For me, it's making friends. I know when I started networking 15 years ago, I probably didn't tell anybody what I did for 4 years because I was so nervous about people just liking me. I just was like, just don't mention anything, just get to know people. But it worked in my favor. And you're right, Jay. But it all stems from me being like Judie 15 years ago, hiding behind a friend, just sticking my head out, the floating head, going, hi, going, this is just so uncomfortable, to going, actually, this isn't uncomfortable. This is going to school and looking at it in a different perspective. But for me, networking is all about giving, all about helping, and then it comes back to you. So for me, it's not about pitching first, it's about listening first. And that works. What I'm trying to say is that works the same on social media. The difference is that you can't always, you know, hear tone, etc., unless you send a voice note like myself, because it's easier. I don't make a spelling mistake. But yeah, I go straight into voice notes, then they can hear my tone, etc. And it does have to start with engagement. It's, that's how social media starts and online starts. But then I think about how you give, because that's really where networking is really special. And Judie Russell, you're a good networker, by the way, even if you know it or not. I'm telling you are, because you are a giver. And so when people are in your presence, you should take joy from what you're giving them, because people always feel inspired after they've spoken to you.
I'm on a cycle at the moment. I feel like crying. Thanks, Jan.
But it's true. It's true. And there's nobody on here that people don't feel the same way. So I think, remember, if someone's had a conversation with you at some sort of in-person networking session, you've given them a really nice gift.
Thanks.
One pain point I hate at networking things where, can I have your business card? I don't have
I know.
I have a fucking business card. Just fucking Google me. Or use your Instagram me or something.
Yeah.
Here's my LinkedIn.
Funny.
Shan is currently frozen. Conceal, don't feel. Sorry, I watched Frozen the other night. It's really good. And conceal, don't feel is just the funniest piece of advice I've ever heard.
Yeah.
We've lost her. Oh no, she needs to do an outro. And Jay, it's 1:01 and you've got a meeting at 1.
This is a very poor outro as a result of no more Shan, but we'll wrap the episode here. So that's the woe of doing a podcast via the interwebs. But yeah, we'll sync up with Shan again next week. She's back now as normal, so we will get her to do a wrap up in the intro of next week if she wanted to add anything extra. But yeah, as always, like, subscribe, and enjoy the listen, and reach out to any of us if you need us. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Deuces.